Max was a quiet baby when he was born. He slept a lot in the beginning, just like other newborns. During his first few weeks, he rested peacefully. But as he grew older and started noticing the world around him, his sleeping patterns began to change. His naps during the day shortened, and he only slept for a few hours at night. Eventually, he stopped sleeping during the daytime altogether and remained awake for nearly 20 hours straight, eyes wide open. His mother, Samantha Price, was puzzled but believed her son was simply curious about the world. She thought maybe he was especially intelligent and eager to explore everything around him. Doctors and pediatricians were also baffled by Max's behavior, but admitted they had no clear explanation for his sleeplessness. Later, a child psychologist took interest in Max's case and said it wasn't as unusual as it seemed. His research suggested that modern babies were beginning to sleep less. He wasn't certain why, but he had a theory. Life 2 centuries ago was slower, and people generally went to bed early because they didn't have modern distractions. With no electric lights or television, homes were dark after sunset, and families would sleep longer. The psychologist explained that electric lights are much brighter than candlelight and can make it harder to fall asleep. He suggested that babies, although small, are very sensitive to their surroundings. A fast-paced, noisy, and brightly lit world may influence them in ways we don't fully understand. So if people stay up late and keep lights on, even infants might find it harder to rest. Samantha wasn't sure what to believe. She still thought Max was just too interested in the world to waste time sleeping. But when she told her husband Derek about the psychologist's ideas, he admitted they made some sense. He agreed that modern life had become chaotic and maybe Max's unusual sleep pattern was a reflection of that. Still, they hoped things would improve as Max got older. By the age of 5, Max was officially diagnosed as hyperactive. Every evening, Samantha tried to get him into bed around 8:30, but Max was never tired. Both parents would lose their patience and shout at him. And eventually he would go to bed around 9:30, only to cry for hours. He never fell asleep before 11 p.m. and was awake again by 4 or 5 in the morning, ready to play. Samantha and Derek were exhausted all the time, barely able to function. By the time Max turned 8, he only slept around 2 hours each night. His parents would often go to bed before him while Max stayed up quietly playing with his toys or on the computer. He never seemed bored and enjoyed the glow of electronic screens. Darkness made him anxious and sad, as though he needed constant light to stay calm. One day, Derek half-jokingly called Max a mutant. When Samantha asked what he meant, he said maybe nature was evolving a new kind of human, and Max was one of the first, a child built for the future. In his teenage years, Max remained alert for nearly the entire day. He stayed up watching videos, listening to music, and reading. He still attended school regularly, though he didn't wake up early like the other students. His friends were amazed that he was never tired, and that he actually enjoyed studying. Max had an insatiable hunger for knowledge. He said he wanted to understand everything, because life was short and the world was too fascinating to miss. Sleep is a waste of time, he often said. His parents had finally adjusted to his condition. Derek accepted Max's odd sleeping habits more easily than Samantha. He said that aside from his need to avoid sleep, Max was just like any other boy. He enjoyed sports and fashion. But Samantha wasn't convinced. She insisted that Max couldn't survive forever on so little rest. It wasn't natural. Sleep was essential, and without it, Max could face serious consequences. Then one evening, Samantha did something drastic. She secretly slipped sleeping pills into Max's tea. When she saw him growing drowsy, she excitedly called Derek. For the first time in years, Max looked like he was about to sleep. Derek was stunned and hopeful. Maybe Max was normal after all. But Max woke up after just half an hour, confused and upset. "Did I fall asleep?" he asked. When they told him yes, he became angry. "I don't want to sleep. There's too much to see and do in life. Why would I waste time being unconscious?" When Samantha confessed about the sleeping pills, Max demanded the rest of the tablets. "Please give them to me," he said. Reluctantly, she placed them in his hand. She looked deeply troubled, still full of worry. Unable to rest her thoughts, Samantha decided to write to a renowned neurologist named Dr. Somas, an expert on sleep. Dr. Somas agreed to examine Max, and after a series of tests, he discovered something unusual. Max's brain produced very powerful alpha waves, the kind typically seen when a person is fully awake. This could explain why Max stayed conscious while others needed rest. Max had always been a curious case. His brain didn't produce the slow waves typically seen during sleep, something unheard of. Dr. Somas, puzzled, admitted he had never encountered anything like it before. So he really doesn't need sleep? Derek asked. Sometimes, maybe just a little, the doctor replied. But yes, he's a normal, healthy person in most ways. Samantha looked worried. But sleep is how the body heals and restores itself. If Max's brain never truly rests, won't that affect his body? That's exactly the concern, Dr. Somas explained. Without proper rest, the body can't renew itself. It ages faster. Max may grow old more quickly than normal. Her eyes widened with fear. Are you saying Max could die young? It's a possibility, the doctor said carefully. I'd like to run more tests. The results were unsettling. Though Max was just 18, his body resembled that of a 35-year-old. Samantha and Derek were stunned. How much time does he have? Derek asked quietly. I wish I knew, said Dr. Somas. There's no clear answer. Isn't there anything we can do? Samantha asked desperately. The doctor paused. There is a drug that can help him sleep, but it's very powerful. Prolonged use or overdose could be fatal. And it's addictive. Over time he'll crave more. Samantha and Derek sat in silence, trying to process it all. So if he takes this drug, could he live longer? Derek asked. Possibly, the doctor replied. But the drug might kill him eventually too. Samantha covered her face in her hands. Which will take him first, no sleep or the drug? I can't say for sure, said Dr. Somas. But based on what I've seen, it's likely that without sleep, his life will be shorter. After a long silence, Derek said, we have to tell Max everything. Let him decide. He won't agree to the drug, said Samantha, shaking her head. How can you be sure? Asked the doctor. Because he's told us. He wants to be awake. He says life is too short to spend half of it sleeping. There's too much to learn, to see, to experience. Still, it's important that he hears it from you, the doctor insisted. Maybe he'll change his mind. That night, Samantha and Derek sat down with Max and told him everything. They explained the situation, and that Dr. Somas recommended the drug. And what do you think? Max asked. We agree with the doctor, Derek said gently. Max didn't hesitate. No, I'm not taking any drugs. Please think about it, Derek urged. My answer is still no, Max replied calmly. I don't want to sleep through half my life. I'd rather live a short life fully awake than a long one in darkness. The world is full of wonders. I want to see them all. But the doctor said you might not live past 40, Samantha said, her voice breaking. Max gave her a soft smile. It's not the number of years that matters. It's how I live, what I do and who I am. That's what's important. Samantha's eyes filled with tears. Please, Max, for me. I'm sorry, Mom, he whispered. But I can't. Then he stood up, smiling again. Now, if I'm going to die young, I don't have much time to waste. So Max continued living the way he wanted, fast but clean. He never smoked, avoided alcohol, and ate modestly. He didn't get caught up in little problems, didn't chase money, and never wasted time. He traveled, observed the world, and took interest in people. He studied hard, stayed curious, and was always alert. Doctors said his mind and body weren't bound by the typical day-night rhythm. I swear he's from another planet, Derek would joke. He had come to accept Max's uniqueness. But Samantha still wished her son could just be normal. Only a few close scientists knew about Max's condition. The Prices kept it a secret, hoping that the less attention he attracted, the longer and happier his life would be. After finishing school, Max found work at a bank. That's where he met Wendy. They fell in love and eventually married. Max never told her about his condition. At first, Wendy didn't notice. But over time, she became suspicious. He never seemed tired, rarely slept, and was always energetic. She spoke with Samantha, who reluctantly revealed the truth. Wendy was stunned. Will he really die before 40? No one knows, Samantha said. Dr. Somas thinks if Max lives quietly, he might live longer. But listen, Wendy, you mustn't tell anyone. Not your friends, not the press. It must stay secret. Why? Wendy asked. Because if the world finds out, especially the media, they'll hound him. That stress will shorten his life. Please promise me you won't say a word. I promise, Wendy said. She was a loving wife and a decent person, but she loved money. She dreamed of expensive clothes, luxurious things. Max's job at the bank didn't pay much, and she often felt frustrated when she couldn't buy what she wanted. One day, while thinking about their future and the child she was expecting, Wendy began to worry. If Max really didn't have much time left, what would happen to her and the baby? She felt she had to speak to Max. When she brought it up, Max was initially upset that she knew. But then he smiled. Don't worry about the future, he said gently. We have each other now. Let's just live while we can. Max once said that the most important thing was happiness. Nothing in life is certain, he told Wendy. Maybe I won't die young. But I promise that when I do, you'll be left with enough money. But Wendy had her own plan. After thinking it over for a few days, she walked into the office of a major national newspaper and offered them what she called an unbelievable story. Unsurprisingly, they paid her thousands for it. Once the world heard about Max and his unusual condition, curiosity exploded. Interest came pouring in from every corner: America, Japan, Australia, Europe. He was featured in interviews, talk shows, articles, and documentaries. The media couldn't get enough. Almost overnight, Max became a global sensation, and Wendy became wealthy. Max, however, was overwhelmed. He tried to stay hidden, to run away from the overwhelming attention, but the media always caught up with him. Samantha, his mother, saw how damaging this was and was furious with Wendy, but it was already too late. He was followed everywhere, by journalists, television crews, magazine reporters. Even famous movie directors offered him enormous amounts of money to appear in films. Rock stars and celebrities wanted to meet him. The attention crushed Max. He grew sick, thin, and withdrawn. He lost his focus and his passion for the world around him. He stopped learning, locked himself in his room, and spent his time alone, both day and night. Meanwhile, Wendy continued spending the money she'd made off him. When Samantha visited, she was shocked. Max looked pale and worn out. His eyes were heavy, with deep shadows beneath them. He seemed aged far beyond his years. Then something unbelievable happened. Max yawned. Samantha couldn't believe it. Are you tired? She asked. Yes, Max said softly. I want to sleep. Within moments, he drifted off. He slept for a few hours, but even when he woke up, he was still exhausted. A few days later, it happened again. Slowly, Max began to sleep more and more, until he was getting 8 hours a night like everyone else. You're sleeping like a normal person now, Samantha said nervously. What's happening? I'm tired, Max replied. I just don't want to stay awake anymore. The world is dull. People are dull. I'd rather sleep. Soon, Max started sleeping even more than most people. The bright energy he once had was gone. His interest in life had faded. Now he just seemed weary all the time. Still, the media wouldn't leave him alone. Photographers camped outside his house day and night, snapping photos even when he yawned or slept. Wendy continued to provide updates to reporters in exchange for money, keeping the public informed of Max's every move. Letters, gifts, and messages flooded in from all over the world. Samantha grew increasingly worried. If this goes on, she thought, Max is going to die. She couldn't stop thinking about it. Eventually, she made a bold decision. She would speak out on television. During a live talk show appearance, she faced the cameras and said, "He's sick. You all need to stop. Leave him alone." Is he sick because of medication? The host asked. He takes no medicine, Samantha replied, clearly upset. It's you, the media, the public. You've taken away his peace. You've filled his life with noise, pressure, and chaos. He used to live in light, with open eyes. But now, thanks to all of you, he has shut his eyes. You are destroying him. The response was swift and harsh. The next day, newspapers and TV shows were full of angry headlines. "Is Max Price's mother blaming us?" one article asked. "She says we're the problem, but we made him rich and famous. Isn't she being ungrateful? Doesn't she know we have a right to follow Max's life? This is a free country. We want to know what he's doing." After the TV interview, Samantha returned to Max's house, but Wendy told her he was asleep. So Samantha went home. The following day, Wendy called in a panic. "Something's wrong. He won't wake up. Please come quickly." When Samantha arrived, the house was surrounded by reporters and television cameras. She pushed her way through the crowd and went inside. Wendy was on the couch, terrified. "He's still not waking up," she cried. They both went upstairs to Max's room. He was lying in bed, eyes closed, his face frighteningly pale. Samantha touched his skin. "He's so cold," she said. "Call Dr. Somaz." The doctor arrived soon after and began examining Max. Just then, Derek entered the house. "There's a huge crowd outside," he said, before noticing the women crying. He turned to the doctor, who simply said, "Tell them to go away. Max is gone." The following day, the news of Max's death was everywhere. Newspapers, TV channels, and magazines all ran the same headline: "The boy who couldn't sleep has finally found peace." As doctors had predicted, he died before reaching 40. And the media made sure to remind everyone. They weren't to blame. That was their story. And that was the end.